80% of men are automatically not on any woman's list. Imagine that. This only leaves the top 20%, which includes the Chads and Tyrones, the millionaires and the billionaires, and the very select men who have the built, the money, the charisma, and the personality that makes women go crazy for them. But the thing is, if 100% of women only want the 20% of men, and let's say the 20% of that 100% actually end up with the 20% of select men, what are the rest of the 80% women going to do then? Ladies, your selectiveness is going to get you in a lot of trouble, because there's a high chance you're thinking you're a 10 when in reality you're a 6 to a regular guy. And you would actually be lucky to even be with a regular guy you consider a 5. Most wealthy women always pick a man who is either on par with them, or much more successful than they are in terms of social position and financial security. These women find it nearly impossible to marry a man they deem to be beneath them because hypergamy is still so common. And surprise, surprise, women don't want to settle, and marrying someone who isn't making as much as them really feels like settling down with them, because that's not the ideal situation for them. Women eventually give up and simply start whining about how there aren't any good guys out there, and the ones who aren't even close to being on par with them. In order to avoid seeing the effects of their own life decisions, they simply concentrate more on their work and keep complaining about the lack of men. I think women choose this lifestyle, so they either have to accept it or decide to treat the nicest men they can find. That's all I have to say on the subject. They will have to deal with the consequences if they don't, or if they refuse to make a deal, because they can't find a man who is better than them. That is my opinion, and I don't care if it offends anyone because women have no problem making fun of unfortunate men. So why should I be concerned if they are too successful to find a mate to settle down with? That is their problem. First of all, it should be noted that accomplished women generally do not do as well in romantic relationships. Most of us have heard about or personally experienced the dating struggles of successful women. Let's start with the main factor that makes women more likely than men to display a more or less observable inclination for hypergamy. Women favor men who are superior to them. Now, this is a problem since it will be more difficult for her to find eligible guys who are on par with her, or better as she gets more successful. Contrary to popular belief, rich women have a tougher time finding dates than average women do. Because of hypergamy, women will always seek for the best men they can find, but they are unaware that the more money they make, the less men will be available to date them. They are under the impression that there will be more men available because of the reverence. For men, this is true. The more money you make, the more women will be available to you because you have demonstrated that you are respected, and that affluent men don't care how much a woman earns. Thus, despite it being evident that this is untrue, the womanist movement has tricked women into believing they are men, and that the same laws apply to them as well. Because men and women are essentially different from one another, women will never understand that men do not choose women based on their wealth and success. We seek ladies who are obedient, helpful, feminine, sensual, and attractive. No boss ladies or alpha females. They will thus keep having dating problems. The fact is that the majority of them do not settle down. Let's go back to the article now. Women like men who are ahead of them. Therefore, as she goes further, there are less men around. Women believe that having a large income and attending a prestigious university will expand their opportunities. But occasionally, the opposite is true. Of course, preferences are at issue here. Physical reproduction is possible with any functioning man, but for most women, dating less successful men seems like settling. That's precisely what I said, gentlemen. The fact that women feel that they're settling is what hurts them the most, and if they can't grasp the fundamentals of supply and demand, they won't be able to attract the men they desire. Then it is what it is. There aren't many men at the top, and not all of them would like a woman to be there. I find it astounding that powerful women fail to comprehend this. There will be fewer persons at each level of income as one moves up the scale. Supply and demand is as simple as that. However, the number of women accessible to a man will increase the higher up the economic ladder he climbs. So why would he marry a wealthy lady only because of her wealth? Let's go on. Female achievement is less alluring than some women believe. What kind of guys dislike powerful women? That's not it. Male success criteria for women are lower. The second, age, submissiveness, and a caring nature are just a few qualities men prize that might work against them in the quest for success. The third, men rarely regard professional accomplishment above their own level, and only up to a certain extent. Men claim to admire knowledge and accomplishment, but they never let it frighten or turn them off, despite what others may think. Despite what they claim, it sometimes conflicts with what they really practice. Actually, men prefer dating women who are less rich than they are. Others like women who have less education. Studies show that men find women's intelligence to be unattractive beyond a certain extent. But when he thinks a woman is brighter than him, he actually loses interest in her. However, men who regarded educated women to be attractive in the long run gave them low physical attractiveness ratings, according to evolutionary psychologists. All right, men. I agree with him, since I wouldn't want to date someone who makes more money than I do. Not out of fear, but more because I am certain that she will ultimately make a joke about how much money she makes and how she won't respect my authority. Why then would I sign up for it knowing that I will be treated like a lesser person? That arrangement would only be accepted by a man who doesn't value himself, because I'm more likely to receive better treatment than if it were the other way around. And I may feel like a provider and a man in my own castle. I would like to date a woman who makes less money. These contemporary Western women will now consider males as inferior while physically being broke and living in a rundown apartment themselves. Furthermore, you shouldn't make this a problem, since these women will try and minimize your accomplishments despite the fact that, barring divorce, they can never hope to catch up to you. I totally support the passport gang's decision to travel to less developed nations in search of women because of this. Instead of going where you're tolerated, go where you're wanted. Simply be sensible and refrain from marrying these women and bringing them back to your first world nation. Otherwise, you will discover just how quickly a woman can turn the tables on you. Anyway, let's go forward. Many men like women who are less domineering. Even the most successful men tend to choose more submissive women, which is why you often find tycoons with extremely low-key partners. Men favor women with lower incomes. Although time and society have changed, individuals have not, and most people secretly don't think it's acceptable for women to earn more. As evidenced by statistics, men frequently marry women who earn less than them, and women frequently marry men who earn more than them. There is no changing that fact, no matter how much we shame men for wanting successful older women. Most extremely wealthy guys prefer to date poor but stunning women who are more feminine. Let's go on. Like extremely ambitious men, men are scared of very ambitious women, but they don't give ambitious women any extra points. In fact, many people think of ambition as a manly quality. Women's ambition is likely suppressed for this reason. Women who openly express their aspirations risk being labeled as gender disruptive and losing credibility. Alpha males favor gentler and more submissive females. Some alpha males prefer not to date alpha females because they fear that there will be more power struggles and less caring interactions. Men who are successful work hard. Even though men might not like to acknowledge it, they would rate the return home to a kind lady who makes them feel at peace than to another corporate negotiator. Men frequently prefer more submissive women to begin with, since many powerful women become subordinate to more dominant men. But it still takes more effort for them to do so. Who among you desires to make a lady more feminine? Let's face it, if I am a strong, successful man, why would I want a bull to continually challenge me in a relationship? And when is a very ambitious lady going to have the time for me? If you truly think about why guys avoid these kinds of women, it's hardly rocket science. I don't want to always face the demands that women place on men. Men of distinction have other options at their disposal. There is yet another dating issue for professional women. The markets for premium men and women are significantly dissimilar. Why?